slightly more professional, you'll want to use the microphone jack on the right hand side, but for general purposes it's good. What else can I say about the keyboard? Yes, well, there's a couple of things. As well as being a decent, good sized keyboard, it's got a lot of extra functions which you access pressing the blue FN key here, and then one of the function buttons on the top, and the directional arrows as well. So you've got, I'll show you all this in the second video with the actual software, but you've got sleep, battery indicator on screen, Euro sign, obviously that's a European thing. Function in F4 switches between the LCD and the VGA output. I'm not sure if that works in Windows 7, because Windows 7 obviously has its own interface for dealing with projectors, which is about 1,000 times better than anything XP has. I haven't tested that because I haven't got a projector, but I'd imagine it would probably still work. Function in F5, you can turn the backlight on and off, as well as just adjusting the brightness with these keys. If you turn the backlight off, it's basically invisible, but if you're using the netbook outside in direct, very bright sunlight, it's probably actually quite a good idea, because you can still see the screen and you'll save on some battery life. It probably won't be that much battery life, but it's a nice feature to have anyway. So you've got mute, and then I think that's recovery mode, which is obviously useless for anyone who knows anything about computers, and a speed mode which you can set manually in Windows, so you could ignore F7 and F8, which are annoyingly blue coloured and the rest is black. Don't know why Samsung thought that was a good idea, but anyway, it's a minor complaint I suppose. And then you've got other standard things, like you can turn off the trackpad, which I'll get to in a minute, if that's annoying you while you're typing. And then you've got unlock, scroll lock. The arrow keys, up and down is brightness up and down, left and right is volume up and down, and then you've got home and end with page up and page down as their standard functions. Don't think I've spoken. It's got apparently a silver nano coating on the keyboard. In case you didn't know, silver has very, very, very good antibacterial properties. So the idea behind this is that if your fingers are covered in oil and grime, which they happen to be, anyway, typing on the keyboard, the silver nano coating will kill any harmful bacteria and save your life from death. I have no idea if it actually works. It strikes me as the biggest gimmick on the face of the earth. But if someone comes along with swine flu and sneezes on your keyboard, it might actually help you survive the pandemic that appears to be going around at the moment. So I mean, apart from that slightly gimmicky feature, the keyboard's very, very good, very solid. And yeah, I'm very impressed. The trackpad, however, I am less impressed with. It's much smaller than the standard notebook trackpad. The NC10, which is the 12.1 inch via booting, upgraded sort of big brother of the NC10, has, I think the trackpad is actually double the size of this one. This is very small. It's usable, certainly. It's just a bit annoying, but if you're like me and you use a very small basic USB mouse, then it's not much of an issue. And like I said, you can use the function and F10 key to turn it off if that annoys you while typing. It does have quite a cool feature in that it's multi-touch, a bit like the touchpads on some of the MacBook Pros. Although again, I think this is a bit more gimmicky rather than a genuinely useful feature. It's got some things like you can do 2-finger scrolling, and you've got pinch thing for zooming in and out, which I'll show you in another video. And I think if you do 2 fingers and do like a swirly rotation motion, you can scroll through, like on iTunes, if you've got the cover art, you can like zip back and forth through it, which would be probably interesting for about 1.2 seconds, and then you'd be like, oh, cool, and move on. So that's a bit gimmicky, but it doesn't detract from the overall decency of the scroll pad. One annoying thing about the scroll bar is that it's very sensitive to where you actually touch it and start scrolling, in the sense that if you want to scroll down, you have to touch the scroll pad below the sort of midpoint and then scroll down, which means you have an incredibly tiny space for scrolling down, and the same is for up as well. You can't, for example, touch the top of the scroll pad and then expect to scroll down. It doesn't register that. I don't know whether this is a Windows 7 bug or a driver bug, or if it's just inherently part of the hardware. I think it's actually part of the hardware, because I have done several driver updates, tried it on XP and on Windows 7, and it seems to be pretty much the same. So that's a minor annoyance, but again, it's not game breaking. The mouse button is one solid continuous piece of plastic. There's no actual divider. It's not 2 separate buttons. It's just one bit of plastic with obviously like a rocker thing in the middle. This really pisses some people off, but it's not a big issue for me, because obviously if you've got any kind of sense, you're not going to do a left mouse click in the middle of the button, are you? It's going to be in the corner for a left and in the corner for a right. So yeah, that's could be annoying, but you know, again, if you use an external mouse, then you're going to turn the trackpad off. That's pretty much it in terms of hardware. One thing I did forget to show you in the earlier section was, when I flipped it onto its side, was the two speakers here. Now, up to this point I've been incredibly happy with the notebook. I've been singing its praises pretty much, but I will say now the built-in speakers are absolutely abysmal. To be honest, I didn't really expect anything other than absolutely abysmal speakers, for the simple reason that they're probably about 10 watts and they are tiny. And notebook speakers traditionally are bad, and therefore netbook speakers will be even worse. But I was actually still, even with the lowest expectations in the world, I was still quite shocked as to how bad these really are. They're very rattly, very high pitched, no bass whatsoever, no definition in the sounds. You can forget about even 2.1 audio, even though the Realtek drivers are HD. So that's very, well, I say disappointing. It's expected, but it's still a bit disappointing. But I mean, if you're a real audiophile, you're going to use the HD drivers and just plug in your £400 Bose yellow headset or whatever it is, yellow, white. I don't think they do yellow ones. The white ones are cool. Anyway, I digress. That's pretty much it in terms of the hardware side. Actually, just one more thing. If you're interested, that is the size of the power adapter, very small. Obviously it comes in two parts. You plug that, goes into the mains, that goes into the thing, and then snaky whoopy loopy cable in there. That's very small and very light. So combined with the sort of size and or lack thereof, and weight or lack thereof of the NC10, it sort of builds up to a very portable solution, which is perfect for what it's meant to be, really, a take anywhere laptop that you just use for email and office apps. So yeah, you can stick this in a bag pretty easily, only 1.3 kilograms. The power adapter weighs next to nothing and is tiny, so you can cram that into a bag and basically take it anywhere, and you're good to go, really. So that pretty much sums it up in terms of hardware. Just seeing if I forgot. No, I don't think I've forgotten anything. If I do, I'll stick it on annotations or something. So yeah, that ends the hardware side of things, and in the next video I'll be showing you some software stuff, mainly Windows 7, but also things like the function keys, the backlight, and yeah, then I can give you sort of my final summations and wrap it up. So stay tuned for video 2, and thanks a lot.